Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your minds, so that you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. Greetings, my brothers and sisters in Christ. 'Tis I, Chronically Online Christian. And today we have an actual video with an important topic I want to discuss. This is something I have had to continually deal with as a Christian online. That is the matter of conformity, particularly concerning online spaces. Let's face it, internet culture is very secular, if not downright anti-Christian. Atheists love to yap about Christians having a persecution complex, but when most of the larger internet mocks and berates us, it shouldn't be surprising that Christians feel excluded. I've noticed this heavily within fandoms of most media. Fandom cultures have a tendency to mock or shun Christians and Christianity. That can really suck if we are a fan of that series and otherwise enjoy the fandom. That's where conformity comes in. According to Psychology Today, the desire to fit in is a basic human instinct, and the primary form of that is adjusting our own values and behavior to fit in with that community. I know this well because I've experienced it. Last year, I was part of a Discord community where I was the only Christian. Not only did I not discuss my faith out of fear, but I also noticed that I would say and affirm things that bordered on going against the teachings of the Bible. I'd go deeper, but we'll discuss that specific instance more on whenever I do my testimony drop. Anyway, the point is that conformity is dangerous. It can cause us to not think in a biblical worldview and lead us away from God. Now, you probably already knew all of that. Knowledge of what conformity is doesn't actually help us combat it. In that regard, it's a battle similar to the one against lust. To combat conformity, we have to set up ways to ensure that we can stand strong in our faith. Here are some methods that help me. Number one is always making your faith public. It's easy to fall into that conformity if the group you're conforming to doesn't even know what you stand for. The easiest way to ensure that your faith is public is by having it in your bio. A simple cross emoji and/or verse is enough to let anyone know. Additionally, it serves as a reminder to you that you're representing Christ. That's something we always need to have in mind. Number two is being in a community of believers. This is actually a roundabout way of using that natural desire of wanting to fit in for good. By associating with fellow Christians, we can hold each other accountable. Online spaces of Christians can be hard to find, which is why I'm currently working on making a Discord server for my fellow chronically online Christians. That should be out sometime in the near future. I hope to meet y'all there and that we as a community can grow in Christ. Finally, the most important step is simply staying in the Word and prayer. If you lack either of these things, it will be easy for the world to shift your views. Without a strong foundation, you're cooked. In Matthew 7:24 through 27, Jesus says, "Everyone then who hears these words of mine and does them will be like a wise man who built his house on the rock, and the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, but it did not fall, because it had been founded on the rock. And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it." It's just as Jesus says, if your foundation is weak, you cannot stand against the tides of the world. I want to end by speaking out to all my fellow nerdy Christians who feel ostracized. For many of us, the internet is where we connect to people about our interests and the things we like. But as I spoke of earlier, these fandoms are often very secular. And maybe people IRL don't like the things we do or don't understand it. I know how you feel. I want you to know that you're not alone. There are others like you. Let us build a community of nerds that glorify God. I'll finish with this verse. I want you to keep it in mind whenever you feel the need to conform. John 15:18 through 19. If the world hates you, keep in mind that it hated me first. If you belong to the world, it would love you as its own. As it is, you do not belong to the world, but I have chosen you out of the world. That is why the world hates you. Peace be with you all. God bless.